You've got to take control of your life. You've got to take control of your brain, and it cannot be a half-ass effort. Parkinson's is a deadly disease, and it's neurological, and it is progressive, and you have to fight like a son of a bitch every day to beat it. I mean, it's a fight. It is a choice. You got to either get up every morning and fight the fight, or you're going to lay down and die. And I am not fucking laying down and dying. No way. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Make More podcast. I'm Matt Heslin. I'm your host. Thanks for coming back and tuning in. We've got a second segment today with Dr. Shari Sweetnam, affectionately referred to as Mom. Good morning, Mom.
Good morning, son.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, we wanted to talk a little bit further. We didn't get a chance last time to talk about my journey with Parkinson's and how we can get some information out to the general public and give them a real understanding of the things that can be done to really mitigate your symptoms. And so I know you've got a lot of questions you want to talk about and ask, so feel free to shoot away.
Okay. First of all, I think it's extremely generous of you to offer up what you've gone through, the way you've healed, the way you are literally reversing Parkinson's. I think this is going to be an amazing podcast for people to listen to you, to be inspired by you, to understand what's possible. You ready to be that hero?
I'm ready to be whatever you want me to be.
Okay.
I think it's important that people understand that, I get these emails, guys, you live an amazing life. I do live an amazing life, but I live with Parkinson's every day, and it is a nightmare. It really is.
Yeah, and people don't see that. People don't see that of you. Even your family talks about just you're upbeat, you are always present, you're always a part of the scene. But you struggle. And I think if it's okay with you, I'd love to start with anxiety.
Okay, as a part of Parkinson's?
Yeah, I know that's sort of dead center, and I'd like to go back into your diagnosis, what it felt like prior to the diagnosis, what it felt like to be misdiagnosed.
Yeah.
What it felt like to be on the wrong meds and to be sort of dropped by the system. I hope it's okay that I say this.
I'm wide open.
Yeah. And you might hear some anger coming out of me, because I think it's sad what you've gone through, but it's a victory where you are, what you're doing, and how you're educating people.
Right.
But dead center, that is anxiety, and I think that is applicable to a wide population, right? It's not just Parkinson's, and you have a lot of questions coming your way about anxiety.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So the Parkinson's symptoms include depression and anxiety. So I luckily, thank God, suffer from anxiety and not depression. I'm so grateful for anxiety. I know that sounds crazy, but depression is really gnarly. I mean, it's terrible. So 40% of the Parkinson's population suffer from anxiety. So that means 4 out of every 10 people with Parkinson's suffer from massive anxiety all day long. And anybody who knows anything about anxiety knows how terrible a feeling that is, which I suspect leads to the depression, because you're so sick and tired of being anxious, you get depressed. So anxiety is a big part of Parkinson's. If you have Parkinson's and you have a depression or you have anxiety, you're not alone. I mean, it's part of it. We have studied it in and out, up and down, through the best people in the world. And it's an absolute fact that if you have Parkinson's, you're likely to have, anxiety or depression.
And you really got to it, done all the research. We'll be really honest, because of your resources, we had the ability to create a world-class team.
Right.
We interviewed everybody from LA to Switzerland.
Yeah.
Literally to Switzerland, and neurosurgeons and neurologists. And that left us with a wealth of information, just an incredible opportunity to really learn about the brain health, and how to reverse Parkinson's, right? And so you stepped in to absolutely everything we've learned. And I'd like to start with meditation.
Okay.
Because meditation was one of those things that you don't really hear about in terms of brain health, in terms of anxiety, you sort of do. But the science is profound. Harvard's done studies on meditation. Stanford's done studies, and lots of universities have. But I'd love to hear about your experience, because you're that external guy. You don't go internal. You are the guy who is out there. You are loud and proud, and to stop you and make you meditate was quite a feat.
Yeah, well,
Talk about that.
Okay, so you were the one who taught me that meditation can actually have extreme health benefits through the Huberman podcast, through other resources that we looked up and researched, that deep breathing and meditation can shrink the amygdala, which is the back part of your brain, which is responsible for the fight or flight mechanism. And one way to reduce that anxiety is to meditate and breathe. A lot of deep breathing. So, I mean, you and I do that once or twice a week. And I do it every day for probably not as much as I should, but I do it. And it has a profound impact on the amount of the depression and anxiety you can get relief from.
Yeah. And it's just so amazing. What we learned is that meditation, mindfulness meditation in particular, actually thickens the cerebral cortex.
Yeah.
Actually affects the brain in measurable ways. Harvard did an incredible study comparing brain scans. So we used all that information and we experimented, right? We went through the different body focus types of meditation, to breathing, to finding out what's right for you. And having gone through all that, if you were advising somebody who was stepping in and saying, I can't meditate, I can't do that, knowing that you tried all of the different kinds and we've gone through all these different steps, what would you tell them? Would you tell them?
Start with 3 minutes. Start with 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Breathe in through your nostrils as deep as you can, and then exhale as deep as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for 3 minutes and focus on your breath. And if you hear noises and things distract you, which is going to happen, it's going to pull you away from your breath, just bring it back. Bring it back to the breath. And, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. I literally I think we've reduced my anxiety by probably 70%.
I would actually say more.
Yeah, probably.
Considering how many times per day you were having an anxiety attack.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I truly believe you single-handedly pulled that back. You shrunk your own amygdala. That actually happened.
Well, if you, I'll say this as a global statement. With Parkinson's, if you want to make an impact and have a trajectory of health, good health, and not let it take over your life and dominate you with negative side effects, you've got to take control of your life. You've got to take control of your brain, and it cannot be a half-ass effort. Parkinson's is a deadly disease, and it's neurological, and it is progressive, and you have to fight like a son of a bitch every day to beat it. It's a fight. It is a choice. You got to either get up every morning and fight the fight, or you're going to lay down and die. And I am not fucking laying down and dying. No way. No fucking way.
It's so true, and I think it's just a gift to everybody with Parkinson's, everybody who has anxiety, to talk to you, to hear from you, to hear this podcast and realize what's possible. And the reason I wanted to start with meditation to move to breath work is because right now we're breathing, right?
Yeah.
I can see, we're obviously breathing, but you're taking those deep, relaxing breaths.
Well, with Parkinson's, what happens is you'll run out of gas in your voice, so you'll run out of oxygen, and so you have to time your speech in coordination with your breath, or I'll be talking in a sentence and it'll all of a sudden die out. And then I know, okay, I didn't time it perfectly. But breathing and meditation is critical. Really is.
And research shows that even 3 minutes.
Yeah.
We've learned that even 3 minutes of mindfulness, deep breathing. And can we explain that? When somebody says mindfulness, what does that mean?
I think it means focus on, right? It's like mindfulness meditation. I'm going to be mindful of my surroundings. I'm going to be mindful where I'm sitting. I'm going to be mindful of the breath in my lungs. Mindful just means paying attention to. So it is a really important part of breathing and meditation is just being mindful,
And the research shows 3 minutes
a day.
3 minutes. I mean, it's amazing. Anybody can find 3 minutes in a day. You don't have to do.
You can do it in the car.
Exactly.
Just don't close your eyes.
Don't close your eyes. Hopefully, yeah.
Unless you got a Tesla self-driving model.
Still don't close your eyes. We know how that goes.
No, we know how that goes.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about anxiety and what that really means. And we're flip-flopping a little bit because I want to start with that breath. Realize that right now you're going to take that deep, relaxing breath, diaphragm down, belly out, fill the lungs. And how, well, can you talk about that? Actually?
So, I mean, you're talking about the technique?
Yeah. So breathing, when we first started, you were breathing
shallow.
Way up here.
Chest.
Yeah.
So you want to belly breathe. So when you're breathing, you want to push that air down. You want to feel it go through your nasal passage, through the back of your throat, down through your lungs, and have your lungs push your belly out. So your belly should be expanding as you're breathing in, and contracting as you're exhaling. And like right there, you could probably see my voice was just starting to fade a little bit. And that's again because if I get too long into a sentence, I got to capture breath. That's part of Parkinson's. But yeah, the breathing and meditation is really important, and mindfulness is really important, which is what we're going to do after we're done here.
Absolutely. Yeah. You trained your body into muscle memory, into how to breathe. And fortunately, because I was guiding you in this process, I saw how you began to breathe with that, into that deep, strong diaphragm down, belly out breathing. But what happened is your body remembered.
Yeah.
And you started to breathe in that really healthy, deep way.
Well, it really becomes muscle memory. Yeah.
Let's move into that concept of the muscular changes or difficulties with Parkinson's. You're talking about your voice. It's more than your voice, but let's start with your voice and what that feels like and running out of air and the mechanisms you use to help yourself along.
So I literally, if I'm going to be giving a speech or I'm going to be doing a talk, I have to put little notes in my speech, breathe here, breathe there, because I know by practicing my speech where I'm running out of oxygen. So that's a big part of Parkinson's, and it takes practice, it takes training. None of this shit is at all in any way, shape, or form going to be easy. I say this all the time to my kids. The right thing and the easy thing are rarely the same thing. So, force yourself out of bed in the morning. Like this morning, literally to try to get out of bed, it was almost impossible. I was laying in bed. I was stiff as a board, which is part of Parkinson's. I'm hurting. My body aches. All I want to do is get some relief in my body. And so my traditional thing is I'll just roll myself out of my bed onto the floor. And when you hit the floor, it hurts so bad you want to get up. And so literally, that's how I get out of bed in the morning. And then I run to the gym. And it's like, all these things that we're going to talk about today, breathing, meditation, supplementation, exercise, are all things that take discipline and take a commitment. And if you're not willing to commit, you're going to die. So that's a fact. If you don't commit to what I'm telling you, you will shrivel up and you will probably die much earlier than you should have.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Okay. In terms of the understanding of having a diagnosis of Parkinson's and where that leads. Again, because of your resources, how hard you've worked in life, we had access to the best of the best. We could talk to anybody we wanted to.
Yep.
And the neurologists, the neurosurgeons, we really learned a lot about this field and the the projection, what people give as a prognosis. We wanted people who were on our team. We wanted to create, we are reversing Parkinson's people.
Yep.
We wanted to find the best of the best who are looking forward, who are curing things. It was a pretty heavy situation. We ran into some frogs.
Oh, God.
Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. So everybody these days practically knows somebody who has Parkinson's, right? And there are so many turd doctors out there. I mean, they just, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they are practicing medicine. You know, so how many doctors did we go through? Probably half a dozen.
Oh.
So my deal was I was misdiagnosed 15 years ago. I went to the neurologist. I said, I think I've got Parkinson's because I read up on it. He goes, you don't have Parkinson's. You have tremors. You have benign essential tremors. Yep. And I'm like, hell, I don't know, man. So I went from biking 100 miles a week to going down to like 15 miles a week. I couldn't even do it anymore. I couldn't play golf anymore. That was the voice. And
Can you explain why you couldn't play golf anymore? What was happening?
my back was just locked up and hurting. Everything hurt. And so he refused to diagnose me with Parkinson's. He didn't do the brain scans. He didn't do the DAT scan, which is important. He didn't do the dopamine challenge. He did nothing. I mean, so then I went to a back doctor because I was just tired of not being able to play golf. And I was walking. He says, walk down the hall for me. So I walked down the hall and he goes, brother, you don't have a back problem. You got something much more severe. I'm going to send you to the best neurologist. So I went to the neurologist. He did the brain scan, the DAT scan. And I told this story last week. I was in Steamboat, Colorado with my family and extended family and got the diagnosis that it was indeed Parkinson's. And I knew it for 15 years. But there are so many dipshit doctors out there. It was unbelievable that they could misdiagnose it for that long. And so when I got the diagnosis, I was in a bar in Steamboat. I looked at my brother-in-law. I go, okay, we got Parkinson's. Fuck it. So we just took a shot and had a beer. And I said, from this day forward, I'm going to commit my life to beating Parkinson's. I've got to stay alive. I've got kids. I've got employees. I've got the people in the world we need to help. I cannot afford to let this piece of shit disease take me down. No way. It is not going to happen.
And it's not.
I really think I'm going to be the first person to reverse Parkinson's. Because literally, things are going backwards. They're not progressing.
It's true. It's true. You are, I mean, if comparing you now to you 3 or 4 years ago, for sure, you're a different person.
Totally.
You are younger. You move better. You are healthier. Your attitude, even your voice, your movement, everything's improved. But going back to some of those doctors, and I think this is important because people who will be hearing this will go through this. There's one that's going to make us very angry.
Oh, God. First one. Well, this is, you told the story when I went in and gave you a book? Yeah, so I go in this doctor's office. This is fucking unbelievable. I go to this doctor's office, and he goes, I got the diagnosis. I'm a movement disorder specialist. He goes, there's not much hope. Here's a book. To read this book, get comfortable with it. It was a book on how to die with dignity. And I'm like, that is your cure? Die with dignity? Are you serious? So I ripped his ass. I was like, I am not dying. I got 3 kids. I got 3 companies. I got a family foundation. I got to help the world. I can't fucking die. And so I'm like, you're fired. You're gone. I launched him out of there like a ballistic missile. And then we went and we started getting second and third, fourth, fifth, sixth reviews and fighting the best team. And thanks to you, we did get the best team in the world.
World-class team.
World-class team.
And actually, it's a God thing, right? Because as hard as we try to find the best people, it's not like you just look them up online. You have to dig, you have to feel it, you have to know, you have to interview. And the people who showed up, the clouds literally parted.
Yeah.
Right? And,
Yeah.
and they showed up. There's no way we could just find them.
No.
So
No, it was a God thing all the way. And I mean, finding Dr. Lori Micheley was just a godsend. I mean, she literally, so Dr. Micheley was the one who got me to go do the FDA study. I'm sure you want to talk about that later, but
yeah. Well, let's dive into surgeries. Let's talk about what options are available. And this is, another situation that, how did this happen? It doesn't matter how much, your level of resources can do a lot.
Yeah.
But it can't pluck people out of thin air. It can't, it was a God thing. That's all we can say. But typically, if you have Parkinson's, there's a surgery that's recommended sometimes. And what is that surgery?
Deep brain stimulation.
Exactly.
Yeah, DBS. And that's where they drill holes in your skull, and they put lead wires in, and they connect it down to like a pacemaker type device in your collarbone. And the doctor uses the dial to kind of mitigate the shaking. I went into a situation at one of the world-renowned hospitals, and they before even looking at me, they basically said, "You need to do DBS." I don't know what kind of commissions they're getting on DBS. I'm not saying they are, but they
are.
I mean, to recommend a brain surgery without even knowing me or going through the process, that's why I'm trying to tell people, you got to be careful of the doctors you use.
Yeah.
You really got to choose your doctors carefully. Interview them, and don't be afraid to fire them.
Yeah. And in your situation, in deep brain stimulation it's the gold standard. It's the thing. It's what people are still doing. It's not a bad surgery.
Right.
It's helped a lot of people. The electrode goes down into that particular part of the brain. They send the impulses.
Yep.
And they can regulate, as you explained. But if you're going to do a surgery like that, it requires, I think we can use names of hospitals we respect, Scripps.
Yeah.
So they created a team around you from Scripps, from every evaluation, from physical to mental, all that. So they did a beautiful job to set you up for deep brain stimulation. The other hospital, which we would probably get sued if we mentioned, but one of the world-renowned, top-of-the-list hospitals was willing to put you into surgery within 2 weeks without any of these assessments.
Exactly.
And we did raise holy hell with that.
Yeah.
Because it's wrong. And obviously you're not going to go into that surgery, but the thought that other people would without having these assessments. But something happened. You were scheduled for the deep brain stimulation.
Yeah.
It's not a bad surgery. We're not here to say that it is. But we stopped because new technology was coming out through Medtronics on deep brain stimulation. So we rescheduled. And then what happened?
So then...
Is that a Sunday? Oh, no. This is probably over a period of he was scheduled for the surgery. And it was Dr. Micheley who said, do not do it.
Yeah. So we were on the phone with Dr. Micheley, and she found out that I was going to do DBS. And she says, Matt, wait. There's a FDA study going on that Stanford University is putting on for the FDA, testing a brain procedure, non-invasive, that can stop the shaking by burning a lesion in the brain through high-intensity focused ultrasound. So HIFU, high-intensity frequency, you have to read that. High-intensity focused ultrasound.
Perfect.
And so we went through all the protocols. We got to be a part of the study, and there's no shaking.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There's no shaking. It takes care of the four limbs. It does not mitigate all the other Parkinson's effects.
And that's an important thing that, so that particular surgery is only, or was only done at the time in Switzerland, right?
Yes.
neurologists and neurosurgeons that we interviewed ad nauseum, good people, Jean Menard, and Sana Module. So great people, wonderful, but it wasn't for us. Dr. Mishley tapped us into the clinical trial happening in the U.S. By the grace of God, we're able to get you in the last study with the best neurosurgeon that exists, in our opinion, but we've done a lot of research.
Yeah.
And that's Dr. Butch from Stanford.
Yeah. He was amazing.
He was amazing, and he was unbelievably available. And, I could give him a call, and he would answer.
It's interesting, Mom, just to take a little side note here. I have recommended probably 10 people to him, and he takes their calls.
That's unbelievable.
I mean, they all go back, this guy's a genius.
It's unbelievable.
So, Dr. Butch, if you're listening to this podcast, thank you.
We have to send it to him.
Yeah.
We believe, and I think his trajectory, what he has proven, he's going to change the world of Parkinson's. He's also researching stem cell treatments, and so he's
on the leading edge.
Yeah, and this is why we wanted him on the team. This is why
absolutely.
we wanted to follow him. But so let's talk about that surgery. We for anybody listening, it's something they have to research, right?
Yeah, you really, before you jump into DBS, make sure you research high-intensity focused ultrasound.
Focused ultrasound, yeah.
Because the focused ultrasound, non-invasive, I mean, the minute you walk out of the surgery room, you're a different person. I remember I showed up to an Easter celebration at Mass, and I had the Parkinson's mask, which is this blank look, and I was smiling, and there were people crying. They couldn't believe how it had changed. So that surgery changed everything.
Absolutely.
And the FDA needs to move that thing along and get that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk about that experience? Actually, preparing and going in and having focused ultrasound procedure on your skull, which, deep brain stimulation is drilling a hole and putting the electrode down.
Yeah, very invasive.
But, and again, we shouldn't disparage DBS. It is still the surgery of choice. It's just hard.
Yeah, Mo, just so I'm clear with the listeners, I'm not disparaging DBS. I'm saying there's too many doctors willing to do it too quick, and without giving them the chance for focused ultrasound. And the truth of the matter is, most of these guys don't know about focused ultrasound for Parkinson's, and it hasn't been approved by the FDA yet. So it's not really an option available to the public today, but it's coming. And I think the reality is that these doctors, well-intentioned, are not keeping up with the education and the technology that's becoming available,
Yeah, it's, certainly we haven't interviewed every neurologist and every neurosurgeon, but what we've learned is don't just follow. Don't just take one opinion. If it doesn't feel right, don't sit with it. Keep researching. Dr. Butch at Stanford, it was just phenomenal. Dr. Mishley up in Seattle, though it'll take you 3 years to get in, she's worth it. She's
amazing.
She puts on a Parkinson school, and I think it's really important to promote that because I think it could be life-changing for many, many people. It has been for us, for all of us, because it's brain health as well. Do you want to talk about the Parkinson school?
Yeah, so let me kind of put a different twist on it. The Make More podcast is making more out of your life, making more out of your health, making more money, making more love, making more of every aspect of your life. And so what I want the viewers to know is that, and the listeners, that Parkinson's is not a death sentence, period. Parkinson's is not a death sentence. There are doctors who will disagree with me, but they're looking at the people who give up. So, and make more. If you get a diagnosis from a doctor and they give you a bad diagnosis, go get a second and third opinion. Because my first opinion was literally, it's the kiss of death. You're going to die. And I immediately gave the finger and I'm like, I'm out of here. But Parkinson's is not the kiss of death. It is a disease. It needs to be contended with. It needs to be treated, but it is not going to kill you. If you do the things that I'm going to tell you to do. So you want to talk about the mental health side of it, or what?
Yeah, because the surgery, which, you know, we're very fortunate to be able to have had that surgery, but it only solved the shaking.
That's it.
It's the four limbs, and they're so serious about that, as we know in the interview, that if you intend for everything to change and your anxiety to go away, they will exclude you from the clinical trial because your expectations, right,
are unrealistic.
So what I want to say about this is that you are reversing Parkinson's. The surgery helped the shaking.
Yes.
And probably the walking.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
That's all. Dr. Bush was really clear. Stanford was really clear. It will not take away anxiety.
No.
It will not take away other symptoms.
No.
That, my friend, is all you. All you.
Yeah.
And it's every day and it's all day. And it begins with literally throwing yourself out of bed.
Onto the floor. And it hurts so bad that you want to get up. So you get up and you go, oh, fuck it, I'll go to the gym.
Yeah.
So, and you go to the gym because every day you go to the gym and you train, you're in my opinion, you're warding off another day of onset, of progression, rather. And so, you know, it's a lifestyle change. It's about changing your diet to a Mediterranean diet. It's about getting in touch with Dr. Michelin or somebody. There's nobody like Dr. Michelin. You got to get in touch with Dr. Michelin, and she is so good at the supplementation. What we're taking for supplements and medication. She's phenomenal.
And so in meeting with her, she's an incredible person. She is so committed. She has spent all of her life, I think since she could walk, conducting studies and, creating this school. But you really, if you can't get in to see her for 3 years, you really can benefit still from her stuff, right?
You go to the Parkinson School. Look it up online. Dr. Lori Michelin, Parkinson School. Everything she's going to tell you is in that school. It's all available. So she really puts it out there. And she actually has a in-class class that runs, I think, for like 2 weeks maybe.
Yeah, it's a
during the year that you can attend. But
no one's getting in, Matt.
Yeah. The reality is, but here's the reality. The reality is she's just another part of the solution. So you've got the focus ultrasound, you got Dr. Lori Michelin, and she's a naturopath. And then you've got your commitment. And your commitment is the meditation, the deep breathing, working out like an animal. And I also go further than that. So I work out every day, and then I do red light therapy, I do cryotherapy, I do infrared sauna, I do the hyperbaric chambers. So I make a full-blown commitment, and it takes a good portion of my day. So I'm not out necessarily golfing and having fun boating, and I'm working daily to ward this thing off so I can be here for my kids and my family and friends.
I would love to talk to you about neuroplasticity and what you have done in terms of creating the pathways in your brain, shifting old pathways, and explaining to people what's possible. Because you had some old thought patterns that were destructive in different ways. But you were able to break those thought patterns and create new ones. And that is a real thing. When you hear about neuroplasticity or neural pathways, it sounds like a scientific thing that isn't really applicable day to day. But I've watched you take old neural pathways smash them, kill them, and build new ones. And can you talk about that for a bit?
Do you ever have a question that's not so intense? Jesus.
What am I for? What's your favorite color?
So my neural pathways were deep rooted from childhood. And deep rooted from bad doctors giving me the wrong medicines. And so, a lot of it was I had a neuroplasticity or neural pathway rather that said lack of sleep equals suicide. Like if I don't sleep, I'm eventually going to take my life. And that was a very scary notion. And so it would give me anxiety. And the anxiety would stop me from sleeping. And the sleeping would so it was a reoccurring cycle. And we had to smash the fuck out of that thing.
And I just have to say, I think this is such a gift that you're sharing this, because people with anxiety, and this is outside of Parkinson's now, this is the world of anxiety.
Yeah.
People with anxiety are listening to you saying, oh my God, I'm not the only one.
You see, the fallacy is, here's the fallacy, okay? People think I have a perfect life. He's rich, he's got, multiple homes, he flies private jets, he's got the perfect life. I don't have the perfect life. I got more fucking problems than you do, so
it's
fuck off.
Being rich, I think that's another podcast.
Oh my God, we could do a whole podcast on being rich, what a pain in the ass it is. I mean, being rich is a pain in the ass.
How much does it cost you to have the money?
What do you mean?
Per month. It's got to be managed. It's got to be invested. It's got to be handled.
We're going off on a tangent here. We'll go off on a tangent. All right, I'm good with it. All right, fuck it. So, being rich is a pain in the ass, because you want to know what? Everybody wants a piece of your ass. Everybody's like always chomping to get a chunk of your ass. We really do get and literally, I'm going off because it's fucking nauseating.
It's your life.
It's like everybody decides, this guy's at the perfect life. Let's get him on our board of directors. Well, you don't want me on your board of directors just to be on your board. You want my money. And then everybody's, can you donate to my charity and my charity? And it's just like, and then and as if that wasn't even bad enough. Okay, take this to the next level. I got fucking more people on the payroll at home than I do at the office. I mean, you go to my house, you got a cleaning crew, you got the laundry lady, you got the fucking pool guy, you got the guy who scrapes the pool. Like the fucking pool guy won't even scrape the pool. So I got a guy
who's the apprentice of the pool guy.
Then I got a gardener. Then I got a landscape engineer. What the fuck is a landscape engineer? So one day, this Ron, his name is Ron, he's walking my property. I go, who are you? He says, I'm your landscape engineer. I'm like, landscape engineer? What the fuck is that? He says, I tell the gardener what to do. So I'm paying you to tell the gardener what to do? What do you do? He goes, I tell the gardener what to do. I'm like, and then I got the AV guys. They've been with me for 12 years. They've been in my house for 12 years fixing this control 4 system. And I'm like, and you know what the irony is? No, it's not even ironic. They always come at 5 o'clock. I had to, they shut a switch off. The fucking whole house goes dark. They call us up. Oh, we see on the alarm that the house is needing some service. We'll be right over.
We see that Coral's making. I mean, we see that
they can probably smell our damn cooking through the phone. And so then they show up at 5 o'clock, and the kids known as Uncle Dave and Uncle John, they're fucking uncles now. I mean, is this fucking unbelievable? It's true. The kids thought they were their uncles, so they never leave. I can never get a piece of quiet in the house. It's fucking just outrageous. It's like, would everybody just fucking go home for one day so I can sleep? Like we're in the studio now, and you know what? We got fucking cleaning ladies at the house. By the way, we have a 12-year going on 12-year full-time handyman at the house. What the fuck does he do? I mean, he's got to be looking for jobs. I mean, I don't get it. But so being rich is a pain in the ass. But as it relates to Parkinson's, it's a blessing, because you can go get the best doctors, you can go get the best surgeons, you can go get the best care, And we fortunately can give this gift to the world about our experience. But on the Make More podcast about getting rich, just remember, once you're rich, you are a target, and everybody's coming after you, and it will help you with your Parkinson's, but it ain't gonna help you with your joy, your peace. I'll tell you that. Everybody wants a piece of your ass. Sorry,
You've been holding that in for a while.
Did you feel good?
I feel better now.
See, that's the portion on catharsis where you just sort of let it all out.
Well, it's just pain in the ass.
I remember the first time I ever had a meeting at your house, and for some reason we decided to meet at your house, and so we go into the office. I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous office. Everything is perfect. And then right outside the door, like somebody's vacuuming your drill.
And the AV guys were sitting on the couch. One guy was sleeping, and one guy was pretending he was working.
And you walk over into the other wing, and there are painters, like literal painters there. And then walk out to the pool, and somebody's working in the pool. It's like, let's go up through the golf course of the yard into, what do you call your little patio that overlooks the world?
It's just the trellis in the patio, the fire pit.
It's a fire pit.
It overlooks all the hills of San Juan Capistrano. And we're sitting there and thinking we finally found a quiet spot, and here we is. Guy mowing the lawn right behind us. It's like, I can't get any peace.
It was the funniest thing ever, honestly. It's like, let's go to my office. I'm not going to have this.
I'm grateful to be rich, but I'm also, it's a curse.
Yeah. But what you've done with your money and the team that's been created, everybody's going to benefit. Everybody who listens to your podcast is going to benefit from the knowledge. I'm going to reiterate what you said about Dr. Laura Mischley's Parkinson School. It's probably $100. Spend the $100. You have video upon video upon video. A lot of what we're discussing. But we were in your before you went off on your tangent. We were talking about your neural pathways. And the reason I think this is so important is, first of all, educating people what that is. And why is that important? Because you have a way of thinking. You have a go-to. Some people, it's just a rumination or a negativity or even a thought about yourself, an idea that keeps getting repeated that you feel you can't break out of. You generously shared some of the neural pathways around anxiety. And we know that when you feel anxiety, often first it's a feeling, and your brain searches for the reason. Can you talk about that?
So when you get a physical sensation that has always been tied to your anxiety, let's say I get it in the diaphragm. So if I get it in the diaphragm, it could be hunger, and I'll immediately attribute it to anxiety, and then kick off the anxiety. So it's a circular pattern. But breaking those neural pathways and through neuroplasticity is totally doable. And we've done it. Mom, we've done it through a lot of them that I had through childhood. Yeah. And they're developed from childhood. They're developed from trauma. They're developed from bad experiences.
And reinforcement.
And we solved a lot of those.
Absolutely. And even in business, even the idea of that, somebody is thinking a certain thing, or this is going to go badly, or I have to make this call. And can I talk about, without names, I have to make this call. This person is going to be very negative on me. They're going to be negative on me because I got this particular deal. They didn't. It was, you were convinced and reinforced that this was a bad thing, bad relationship. What did we do? We
made the call.
You get the answer. Matt, oh my God. I'm so excited to talk to you. You were wrong about that, but you had convinced yourself, you had built that message in your head.
Yeah.
But they're more difficult ones, like the ones around anxiety, really, really tough. Can you talk about that shift?
Well, I think the shift occurs when you finally factually figure out and face the fear. I had to raise a lot of money for a lot of the years for my deals, and it's hard to ask people for millions of dollars. And you would always push me, like, "Let's go. We got money to raise," and we never failed, and ever. So it was really something that reversing those neural pathways is really, really critical. Those negative ones. Maybe you can talk a little about the neuroplasticity part of it.
I will. That just brings up a really fun story, though. That we're talking about pushing you, and you're such. I mean, especially when we first started working together, really mainly just business stuff.
Yeah.
And you were such a pain in the butt. Like you were just incorrigible. Such a jerk. Such a rich guy, I run the... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But anyway, you would scream, "I don't want to make this call." And you'd sit on the floor and like fight. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So I would love to hear your rendition of that. But also, I think something that's really valuable business-wise for a lot of people is we developed a pattern of making calls, and instead of saying, "Hey, Bob, how's it going? How are the kids?"
No, so we did it the authentic way. We would call people and say, "Hey, this is a business call." Because you know what? The other thing about being rich that sucks is that people call you under this auspice or under this perceived notion that they're checking in on you. "Hi, just calling to see how you're doing." 30 minutes later, just as you're about to hang up the phone, "Oh, by the way, I have this investment. Would you be willing to invest $1 million in it?" So the whole conversation we just had was bullshit, because what you really wanted to ask me, you didn't have the balls to ask me till you tried to butter me up and do it at the end. And that it's just so tacky.
And we hated that.
We
And we still hate that.
Yeah.
So
what?
So how do we handle that?
We would deal with honesty and integrity. We just would tell them, "You know what? Fuck you. No, we're not investing in your deal." And had you been honest, you'd had a higher chance, but you weren't. So no, because you're not trustworthy.
But how do you approach... Now, to be clear, when you're calling people for money, you're calling people to give them an opportunity to make a massive amount of money.
Yeah.
So let's be clear.
Well, but that was the paradigm shift that you taught me, was because I wasn't asking them for money. I was giving them an opportunity to invest in my projects, which make a lot of money. So I was actually doing them a favor.
Absolutely.
With that mind switch came a great success, raising money.
That's a really good point. That is a very good point to speak of shifting your mindset.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Well, I think that is part and parcel of neuroplasticity, is shifting your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That what you were afraid of now is your friend.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's part of neuroplasticity. And
yeah. So let's talk more about that, about mindset, about neuroplasticity, about pushing yourself into those uncomfortable zones, which is...
So, that's part and parcel of being successful. Getting successful requires a high degree of discomfort. Being successful at anything requires a high degree of discomfort. And that's because you've got to step out of your comfort zone. You've got to go ask for the money. You've got to go out and seek partners. I mean, it requires a different way of thinking than your old style of thinking. And that's how I think that's what we use primarily to change that neuroplasticity, or to use neuroplasticity to change the neural pathway. But nonetheless, for Parkinson's, we've used it to deal with the anxiety. Anxiety doesn't scare me anymore. Anxiety used to scare the shit out of me. And I know a lot of people out there, because I go online at night and I read people's online posts of what they're going through. And I answer probably like 10 or 12 a night, helping people through it. I'm just like, you know what? It's not going to kill you. It's going to pass.
Yeah.
Do some deep breathing,
Yeah.
and helping people work through anxiety. Anxiety sucks ass. It is just terrible. But it's also something that can be managed. And to manage it requires, again, effort.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're just going to let the anxiety keep hitting you and you're not going to do anything about it, you're going to have more of it. That from which you run, you will be chased.
Mm-hmm. That's such a good point. Yeah, and I think people who are going to listen to this, people who have anxiety, are really going to be comforted and really being able to connect to somebody like you, and also knowing that the things you can do about it. There are ways to shift that. 30 years I've been working with people, lots of people with anxiety, but everyone will tell you, unless you've been through it, unless you sit in anxiety, unless you know, you don't know.
Well, let me tell you what's worse than that is panic attacks. So with Parkinson's comes panic attacks. And you feel like you're on the top of a 50-story building and somebody's going to shove you off. And that's how intense it is. And, there's great hope out there for this. There's different ways of dealing with it. But the truth of the matter is, if you can sit with it and not judge it and just accept it and be with it and let it manifest itself, wherever it's going to manifest itself, fine. So I actually like anxiety now. It's really weird.
It's
because when it hits me in the gut now I'll sit there. My kids will see me doing this. I'm just telling them, go on, motherfucker, give me the best you got. And you know what? It just disappears because you're not running from it. You're taking the bully on. So facing the bully, taking the bully head on, be willing to smash it. By the way, you ought to see some of my workouts. I'm throwing around 70 and 100-pound weights. This I want to say something about the Parkinson's community. It's such bullshit. It's like, do 30 minutes a day of light walking and you'll be fine. You won't be fine, okay? 30 minutes a day of light walking, you're going to die. It's bullshit. I don't know who came up with that. I mean, you got to throw weights around, baby. You got to throw weights around. When I hit that bag, I'm thumping some ass.
Gotta get some video of that.
I am thumping some ass. You should get some video of it. It's frightening because if I take you down, you're going down. And I'm just here to tell you that the Parkinson's group recommendation, chest exercise 30 minutes a day, soft breathing, is bullshit. You got to kick ass. You got to get to the gym. You got to work out. You got to train. You got to kick ass. And that is not going to work. If you want to reverse it, I'm telling you, I'm reversing it. And I'm reversing it fast.
You are.
Because I don't have all the symptoms gone. That doesn't mean, reversing it doesn't mean the symptoms are gone. Reversing it means I'm stopping the progression of it more than anything. I am ceasing the progression of the disease.
I would argue, without having you in a brain scan right now, that you are doing more than just stopping the progress. I because of the research that's out there now, and a lot of brain health research is emerging quickly, and we don't really know, is it because we have access to more that, it seems like more is coming out, and all along, all this has been emerging, but we're learning so much about what you can actually do for your brain. These Harvard studies are incredible. You will see the cerebral cortex thickening due to this mindfulness meditation actually changes. The caudate, the center of your brain, is also affected by meditation. The shrinking of the amygdala, and I'd like you to talk about that because we don't need to get super scientific and, speak in a way that's not useful. But for you in particular, when you knew that you could take that fight or flight center of your brain and you could actually physically affect it in a way that science had to figure out what's going on. People are using this mindfulness meditation. Their amygdala is shrinking. We don't really know why. We think it's because it's becoming more efficient. You, real time, saw your anxiety diminish.
Yeah.
More. Not just because of meditation, because of all of this other work that we're going to continue to communicate about. But did you feel that? You went from panic attacks 5 a day. I know. I was there. but now maybe once every 3 months.
Yeah, it's gotten really incredibly reduced. And the mindfulness meditation and the deep breathing is what shrinks the amygdala. By the way, I'm actually convinced. So yesterday, I did my stuff in the morning, the workout, whatever. I went in and did red light therapy. I did cryotherapy, which is getting into a cold chamber of 230 degrees below zero for 3 minutes.
How does that feel?
You're freezing your balls off. I mean, it's nasty. I mean, it feels like your nipples are going to crack off. It feels like, I mean, it's really cold.
Did it feel, because we're both Minnesotans originally. Oh, I felt like my thighs, like when you were a kid and you were sledding and then you got sweaty and then it got icy and then it kind of felt like that, didn't it?
All over your body. Yeah. And I think that is shrinking the amygdala as well.
Yeah.
Because all it's that cryotherapy and the red light therapy is taking the inflammation out of the body.
You're right.
It's taking all that inflammation out of the body. So by definition, it's shrinking the amygdala.
Oh, interesting.
That's my theory.
It's a good theory.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing is working.
It's working.
You used an interesting word that I want to highlight, and I would like you to educate the public about it.
What?
And it's something we've spoken a lot about, and that's judgment. And the reason we highlighted judgment in your work is because maybe not just judging like, oh, that person's shoes, that kind of judgment. The kind of judgment that says, I feel terrible. I feel like I'm going to lose my mind right now. And I'm judging that feeling. I shouldn't feel that way. And it's a biggie with depression, actual clinical depression and anxiety. People it's worse than worry. People get down on themselves because I have no reason to be depressed. I have no reason to be anxious. Nobody is really pushing you off of a building.
No.
What's happening?
So when you have, let me use myself. I'll be the guinea pig here. So when I have anxiety, the first thought I should have is, I haven't had this in a long time. I shouldn't have it. And you're quick to remind me, no, you should have it because you have Parkinson's disease. So with the people who have Parkinson's that are listening, you do not judge the fact that you have anxiety or depression as though you're doing something wrong. Don't judge it. Accept it, face it, sit with it, be with it, let it manifest itself, but don't judge it. Don't give judgment any room in your world to say, I shouldn't be feeling this way. Because the fact is, you should be feeling this way because it's a part of your walk and your journey. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were able to then take another step that, okay, I'm going to sit with it. There are a few mechanisms that you used with relationship. And I believe it is a relationship that you developed with your anxiety, that you, rather than running from it or denying it or judging it, you were like,
bring it on.
Bring it on.
Well, you have to switch the gears and you have to switch the focus from, it's a fight or flight mechanism. The problem with it is, because it's a fight or flight mechanism, if you flight and run, it's going to chase you. You got to turn in and fight it. And I don't mean judge it. I mean, okay, I've got it, but you know what? Give it to me. Like when my stomach's just in knots from the anxiety. It's not because I have a thought of, I'm afraid of something. I'm not afraid of anything. It's because it's a chemical reaction. My brain doesn't produce certain chemicals because I've got Parkinson's. So that's why I've got anxiety. So I should have it. But then I'm like, okay, motherfucker, give me the best. Give me what you got. And you know what? Very rarely does it stick with me for very long. Goes away.
It's amazing. So one of the things that you would do is you would take deep breaths. Obviously, you would do those physical things just like that. Yeah. And learning that even that one breath, even just a few seconds of that can change you. You can take that down quite a bit. What's next? Talk about, I'm in the middle of a panic attack. I take a deep breath. I relax. Talk about some of the other go-tos that you have, or I'll talk about.
So some of the go-to. Go ahead.
So I think I want to jump into one of the major mantras of your life is God has this. And not everybody has the same faith. Not everybody believes in something. I don't know, everybody believes in something, I believe. But you, I want you to talk about that aspect of things, because so often because I'm not going to tell you what to say, and this is what you should think and what you should say. We have to go internally. We have to ask ourselves, what's the truth, right? What is the truth of this moment? Your truth often is, God has this.
God has us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's in almost every aspect of my life, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't control what happens to my children. I can't control what happens in the world. I can't control, almost 99% of the things that are going on, I have no control over. But if I just turn it over to God and go, Lord, God, it's in your hands. I'm free of any, I'm responsible for inputs. He's responsible for outcomes. So I don't have to worry about the outcome because God's got that taken care of. I just got to worry about my inputs and doing my part. And that's what this whole discussion about Parkinson's is about. Doing your part. And you get to decide how much you want to put into it. You get to decide whether you're going to live a great life and travel the world and have fun and work and play, or whether you're going to lay in bed. I mean, you get to make that choice.
To complete that piece of it, how important do you believe it is to have that connection to a higher power? And also including the fact that not everybody believes in God. Not everybody believes the Christian belief system. And I think you are very honorable about that. You have a very strong faith, but you also understand that maybe that's not everybody's belief system. So you're able to meld that and guide people. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think if you're going to walk this walk, whether it's cancer or Parkinson's or just walking in general without a disease, you need a higher power. You got to believe in something bigger than yourself. Because if you're going to try to take on the world by yourself, you're going to get crushed. The weight of the world is heavy, and you will get crushed. But if you take on the viewpoint that God is in control, and you're just responsible for inputs, pressure's off. I think that's critical.
Yeah. Can you explain that? You say that I'm in charge of inputs, God's in charge of outputs. Can you add some color to that?
Yeah. I mean, so whatever I'm doing, let's say I want to buy this piece of land and build a shopping center on it.
As one does.
As I do, yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of that.
All of us.
So literally, I'm responsible for buying the property, entitling the property. God's responsible for how it pans out in the end. Does it all come together perfectly? Does it sell at the right price? Whatever. But I'm responsible for all the inputs, the hard work. You got to do the hard work. If you're not, with Parkinson's too, if you're not willing to do the hard work, don't expect to feel good.
It's so powerful.
It's just, if you're not willing to do the hard work, by default, you're planning to fail. You're planning to fail because you fail to plan, and you fail because you're not willing to do the work. You got to do the fucking work.
So powerful. I want to bring up a completely new topic related to Parkinson's and anxiety, or how these things play in, and that is your surroundings, your people. Maybe even some that anxiety leads to ideas of what people think, or who they are, or how they affect you. You've had to deal with a number of difficult people in your career. I'm probably one of them, or maybe the worst.
The worst.
The worst. Thanks.
I'm playing.
Thanks. But dealing with people that, we tend to make assumptions, maybe negative assumptions about them or how they feel about us, or truthful assumptions that, we have history with this person. We know what we're going to get. We know that negativity is going to come from it. But that also breeds anxiety in a lot of people. And bringing that over into Parkinson's, judgment from people, or what people think, or how people treat you. And let me skip to that, is that when you tell people you have Parkinson's, or maybe when you still had symptoms, because a lot of people have the symptoms right now, Can you talk about that experience interacting with people, telling them you have Parkinson's, what their response is, what their belief about Parkinson's is?
A lot of it is I rarely share it with people because it's just not important for them to know. They see me, nobody believes it anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, so for me, I go, I have Parkinson's. Like, what? But I think the first round of experiences I had was people were like, pity. There was pity. That's the worst. I don't want pity. Acknowledge it. Let's move on. But I don't want pity. I want to make sure that you understand I can't go bike with you 100 miles today because I have Parkinson's. I don't want pity. I'll do what I can. And that's a key in Parkinson's too, is it's not what you can't do that matters. It's what you can do and are willing to do that matters. Okay? Because that in and of itself is a game changer. I can't play 18 holes of golf. But you know what? I can fucking play 9. I can't cycle 100 miles, but I can do 50. You know what I'm saying? So it's not about what you can't do. It's about what you can do and what you're willing to do, period.
And do you find that you really need, or that you are pushing yourself continually to do more?
Absolutely, every day. I mean, I just look at my trainer, Jerome, I go, I can go heavier. Let's go heavier. And we got 70-pound dumbbells. We're doing bench press, 70-pound dumbbells. There ain't many 58-year-olds without Parkinson's who can do that. And so
Did you want to flex for the camera? Did you?
I don't want to scare everybody. These things it should be licensed.
Lethal.
They need to be licensed. I need a permit.
Permit.
But the reality is it's really a function of what are you willing to do. You alone get to decide how much effort you're going to put in and what you're willing to do, how much research you're willing to undertake, and how much supplementation you're willing to put up with, and how much are you willing to do red light and cryo and workout and go the extra mile, because it's so critical. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, and in watching you, my opinion would be your mindset would be probably the guiding North Star of all of this. Is just your mindset, how you choose to look at life.
It's. I tell this to my kids. Everything's a choice. You want to be a winner in life? Choose the winning path. Don't walk the path of least resistance. Don't take the easy route. Go do what you got to do. And if that means that you got to go start a business, or you got to go to school, or whatever you got to do for your life to be what you want it to be, you got to do the hard work. And having Parkinson's just amplifies that. It's like, my kids see me and they know he's got Parkinson's, and he's willing to go do what is really hard. He's willing to do the hard work. Mm-hmm. And so they know that they've got to do their own hard work, and they've got their own journeys. Mm-hmm. And so I tell people all the time, it's not about what you can't do. It's about what you can and are willing to do. Mm-hmm. That is the key to winning the game of Parkinson's. That is the key to winning the game of Parkinson's. What are you willing and able to do?
Yeah. Do you feel that you have to mitigate any of that intense motivation to protect yourself due to some of the complications of Parkinson's at all?
What do you mean?
Let's say 18 rounds of golf when your back is screwed up.
I can only play 9.
Yeah, and so you're watching, just the physicality aspect
Mm-hmm.
of it. Are you comfortable going into treatments like Botox for your back and things that you've used that have been helpful?
Well, there are different modalities, right? I'll tell you, red light and cryo have made a big difference. Putting Botox in my back helps to alleviate the pain.
Does it help? Is it significant? Would you recommend it?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think it's been that helpful. I mean, I'm going to go have some other procedures done on my back. I want to get out and play 18 holes of golf. So it goes back to what can I do and what am I willing to do? I'm willing to go back to the back doctor. I'm willing to go through the process. It's a fucking process. It's like, okay, let's do another MRI. Let's do another CAT scan. Let's do another X-ray. It's all the stuff that you've got to keep doing in order to get the treatment that you need. But most people are like, I don't want to go to the doctor. Well, if you're not willing to go to the doctor, you're not willing to get better. If you're not willing to go pump weights, the problem with Parkinson's is there's atrophy that happens because you're not exercising. You're doing the 30-minute minimum. Well, you know what the 30-minute minimum is going to get you? It's going to get you minimum results. Your muscles start to atrophy. So that's why, my trainer Jerome and I, we work out like animals. I mean, we're like savages. I'm like, when he sees me hit the bag, I'm like, you want one of those? And he's like, no. But you don't want one of these. I mean, so if I don't, so like the Parkinson's boxing classes, what do I do? Go hang out with some 80-year-old men doing this when I'm ready just to knock them out? I mean, how's that kind of look if I punch an 80-year-old in the face? That'd be very.
Let's not knock the exercise programs.
I'm just saying.
For you,
stop focusing on doing the minimum.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Push it.
That's a great point.
Push it, baby.
Okay, so in all fairness, in full transparency, you've been through 3 major car accidents, probably a few street fights. You've toppled over the top of your bike on a rocky hill in Saddleback. Like, your body
is like beating.
It's taking a beating. So part of that, I spoke to the doctor and looked at your x-rays, and, this guy got hit from this angle, and from that angle. I don't know how this guy is still walking. I'm like, and he still has Parkinson's. Like, so you have a lot going on. It's more than just Parkinson's, and you're still at the gym, and you're still pushing it, and you're still looking to heal and do more and more.
Yeah, well, I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't give myself any grace.
I don't give you any grace either.
I just like, you know what? Fuck it. Move on. I mean, we had, in my family, we had like 3 accidents in cars with 3 different people, 2 different people.
Everybody's okay.
In 2 weeks. Everybody's okay. My wife launched us in my Tesla into the side of a building. She went to park the car. Instead of hitting the brake, she hit the gas and just launched us into this building. And, I'm like, fuck, it's just, so that's our 4th accident. I'm fine. You can't touch this. Oh, I'm kicking ass, baby.
You can't touch this.
You can't touch this.
Okay.
Well, it's just life. Life just happens, and shit happens, and diseases occur. It's not about what you can't do. It's about what you can and are willing to do. I can't say enough. If you've got Parkinson's, make that your mantra, because you start to feel sorry. I can't play 18 holes. I'm not going to play anymore. Bullshit. You can't play 18, but you can play 9. Go do what you can. I can't cycle 100 miles. Okay, so what? Cycle 25, and then go walk for an hour. It's all about your attitude. It's all about your willingness to go the extra mile, and that is in every aspect of life. You want to get rich? You're going to have to go the extra mile. I've shared with you on these podcasts the secrets of success. And there's more to come, but if you're not willing to do the first 8 or 9 episodes worth, where are you going to do the 10? Start with the 10th? Probably not. So,
all right, 2 more things. One, if you're speaking to people who have Parkinson's, newly diagnosed, for sure, like all of this research, look into focused ultrasound, see what's available. For sure, get into Dr. Mishley's Parkinson's School. But you're going to need a neurologist that you work with on a regular basis. You're going to need a neurologist, but you're going to need a movement disorder specialist. And what would your opinion be? Because you can find them. Again, we did a lot of research. We picked ours. We wanted a certain mindset. We wanted curing mindset. We wanted somebody who really had the proper energy. We found that. But what's a neurologist for ongoingly when you have Parkinson's? Can you talk about that?
I haven't used a neurologist since I got Parkinson's. I've been using a movement disorder specialist who is a neurologist, but not a neurologist per se. I mean, not just a neurologist, a movement disorder specialist. They're critical.
I stand corrected.
Well, that's a first. Mama admits he's wrong. God dang.
Finally.
New neural pathway. Maybe we'll do a little work together on that today. We'll work on you.
I'm wrong. Okay, you try to find
That is a damn first. I'm just telling you.
First, that I'm wrong or that I'm admitting it?
I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Not with you. I mean, I'm not going to get into it with you.
So, movement disorder specialist. What are they? Why do you need one?
You know what? Because they're the ones who look at your gait. They look at your troubles, what your movements are. They're going to recommend methodologies for healing that, for improving that, rather. So, like if you have trouble moving your foot, they're going to recommend that you go see somebody who specializes in physical therapy for that. They just have a clearer understanding of what Parkinson's is as a neurological issue, as opposed to a general neurologist who has a general understanding. They have a very specific understanding for Parkinson's.
And you really need to be working with one, because what Parkinson's is basically is a depletion of dopamine, right?
It's a depletion of dopamine.
And so with that, and so what we're told is that by the time you begin seeing symptoms, your dopamine is 80% depleted.
Can you believe that?
I can't, honestly.
So you literally have 80% less dopamine. Try and function with 80% less dopamine.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, it's until I started taking the carbidopa, levodopa, I mean, I was at 20% dopamine levels.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about no joy in your world. And
well, you're a freak. Let's get that clear. You are a freak. And
I think you mean that in a good way.
Yeah, of course. Did it come out wrong? The truth of the matter is, you were I met you pre-diagnosis, and you were working on 3 companies, and you were killing it, and you were on boards across and exercising and really doing all of these things consistent with your value system for health. You were functioning at a very, very high level. But that's just you, and that's who you are. But there was an axe to your leg every day. I mean, so much. This wrong meds, not diagnosed Parkinson's. You were suffering from the anxiety, suffering from all the symptoms, but also not replenished in that dopamine. And so for people who have been newly diagnosed, let's say who say like, I'm not going to take any meds, what would you say to them?
I would say, you got to make your own choice. And there are people with Parkinson's who do not take the meds. And you know what? And then you hear them complaining about aches and pains and suffering, rigidity, and, can't move and shaking. It's like, and nobody can force you to take the meds. And I'm not saying the meds are the cure-all, because they're not. But certainly the carbidopa, levodopa has helped me a lot. I think supplementation, diet, exercise, and, mindset, breathing, meditation, all our red light therapy, cryotherapy, all those things you can do. They don't have to all be done every day, so don't get overwhelmed. But doing it a couple, 3 times a week makes a huge difference.
Let's step into nutrition. And this is widely applicable to really anybody who cares about their brain and their body. And the beautiful thing about eating for brain health is that's also eating for body health, right? Yeah. So it's not like, we got to pick one. Like, you should be getting a lot of fat into your body for your brain health. And one of the greatest sources of that is olive oil, right?
Absolutely.
And so talk about
Okay, so a Mediterranean diet is key, okay? I take fish oils, CoQ10, I take vitamin B, and my cupboard is loaded with supplements, okay, that Dr. Michelli has recommended. And One of them that I take every morning is a shot glass full of extra virgin olive oil, and you shoot it, and then you shoot the fish oil, and then and honestly, it tastes like shit. I don't know.
Yummy.
It tastes like shit, but it is such a huge component of brain health.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I'd eat a dog turd if I did that was going to help me. If that was going to cure my Parkinson's, I'd go out on the lawn and go find a fresh one. But I'm just not willing to do that because it's not going to work. I literally think that.
Oh God.
Well, I'm just saying. I'll go to any length. I'll go to any length.
Yeah. So olive oil, not the same as a dog turd, but
Clearly.
you could also mix it with a little apple cider vinegar.
My daughter's got me taking apple cider vinegar now. I guess it regulates the blood sugars, and it evens you out and whatever else.
So I'm glad you're speaking of the shot of olive oil because recent research has come out about the polyphenols in olive oil, and they're basically likening them to a brain drug. Do you think we're ever going to hear about that? Do you ever think
No,
why?
because Big Pharma wants to sell drugs, okay? They're in the drug-making business to make money. I mean, I could tell you stories that I know personally of pharmaceutical companies interfering with progressive moves in the health industry that are holistic. They poo-poo it, they advertise against it, whatever. But no, you're never going to hear about it. But I will tell you, take a shot glass full of extra virgin olive oil every day. One of the reasons I've had no regression or degradation of my cognitive abilities is I believe the olive oil has done a big thing, and the fish oils. And, don't take advice from people at GNC. Like this guy wanted to tell me that he's a vitamin salesman for Amway, and you fucking telling me about Parkinson's? Like, you sell Amway vitamins, bro, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
but you don't know
motivations that you have.
You don't know
consider.
Parkinson's. No. And Parkinson's is very specific.
Yeah. It's very specific, and also everything you've learned about caring for your brain is applicable to anybody caring for their brain.
Yeah.
But just want to drive that olive oil home because it's so huge. But can we put a link to the study about olive oil into the show? Because the study is phenomenal. It's like literally considered a brain drug, based on the science that's emerging. So that's your omega-3s, right? Salmon, avocado,
Yep.
walnuts.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Can you talk a little bit about sugars?
Well, sugar is a kiss of death. Sugars are inflammatory. Like, if I have any sugar at all, I shake and I can't sleep. And that is the worst. So stay away from all those, anything with sugar. Just get rid of it. It has no place in the Parkinson's.
Feeds cancer. So we don't really. Another thing that we've discussed is the neural pathway, being able to train yourself away from your cravings for sugar.
It's really a process of just denying self. So my motto is do everything that's good for my body, do nothing that's harmful. It's that simple.
Great. Speaking of harmful, alcohol. Alcohol. To be very transparent, we both, I think, have enjoyed, for me, I love my Harlan Hazy. It's I would come home, I'd have a beer after work multiple times a week. Then I read the research. The research is profound. The research is new. And the fact of the matter, as we know, is alcohol is not good for you in any quantity. There's not even...
Especially bad for you for Parkinson's.
Can you talk about that?
Because what happens is there's an immediate spike of dopamine when you take it, and then it goes way above the baseline, and then drops way below the baseline. So it's just not good.
Yeah, yeah. So really one of the worst things you could do as a person with Parkinson's is it takes something in that actually depletes dopamine. Yeah. All right. So don't give me that look. Don't ever think you're getting away with that. Yeah, right. Okay. So, where from here? Like, when you look toward the future, you look the next 5-10 years.
This is a great question. I will be 5 years from now. I will be absolutely free of Parkinson's. I will be the owner of the Minnesota Vikings. I will, at least, if I'm not a billionaire, I'll be close. And I'm going to continue to work in the Diocese of Orange, helping build the diocese up, building Catholic education. And you know what?
Are you going to get rid of the organs?
Yeah, I know don't go there. You had to go there. So, the other thing is, I think, through our foundation, we're going to help thousands of people. The Heslin Family Foundation. A lot of people with Parkinson's, help a lot of people who are poor, dislocated, disadvantaged, hungry. Our focus is to help people. I said this, I spent the first half of my life building my empire, and I'm giving the second half of my life away. Yeah.
What do you see in terms of brain health, body health, research? When you look ahead in the same...
I'm really excited about stem cells and the potential that they have. I want to get back to my body health. I want to be back where I'm out of pain, and I'm swinging the golf club 18 holes, and I'm playing pickleball and not feeling pain. So for the body for the next 5 years, I'm willing to work hard and do what I got to do. I'm looking for the reversal of Parkinson's completely in 5 years. I don't think I'll have Parkinson's in 5 years. I don't think we could do the dopamine challenge again. And I think the dopamine will make a difference because I'll be generating my own dopamine, probably through all of the new technology through stem cells.
What an incredible mindset and goal and commitment is I'm just going to develop my own dopamine. Clearly, you've reversed. I mean, anybody who knows you knows that you went deep into Parkinson's and you came out. It's absolutely. And the surgery, we got to remind everybody it's just for the limbs.
Yeah, the other work is
just you.
It's just you.
Yeah, absolutely. So to wrap it up, can you take a moment and think about 3 main things that you would tell somebody who is newly diagnosed with Parkinson's, whether it's what you want them to think, what you want them to do?
Number 1 is not the kiss of death. Parkinson's is not the end of the road. It's the beginning of a new journey. It is not the end of the road. Number 2, be willing to do whatever it takes. And you got to do your research. We've given you a lot of information here, but be willing to go beyond the minimum and do what it takes. It's not about what you can't do. It's about what you can do and what you're willing to do. And number 3, give your life away. Stop making it about yourself. Go out there. If you got Parkinson's, go out there and help somebody with Parkinson's. Go out there and help somebody who's got something worse, like ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. So those are the 3 things I would tell somebody newly diagnosed.
Oh, that's amazing. And then to support that, Steve told us we can put a bunch of links to studies, to...
And we're going to put those links on
school.
The podcast. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Heslin.
Thank you, Mama. It was awesome.
It's awesome. You're awesome.
Let's have a great day.
Let's do it.